Hi, my name is Gibran, and this is going to be kind of a overview and demo video for the reverse shell tool that I've been working on. So just a bit of a background before we kind of get into the tool. So it works off of the principle of a reverse connection. So typically when a host is trying to connect to a target machine or a hacker is trying to connect into a victim's machine or any type of remote control is being attempted to take place, it usually occurs through a direct connection, meaning through the through a port and through the IP addresses of the victim and the attacker. Now, this is pretty difficult because that would mean that the IP address of the victim needs to be known, and that's assuming that the IP addresses are not dynamic, meaning they don't change, and that's very rare. So that's one problem with direct connections. Furthermore, there's things like firewalls and other protections in the victim's computer because it is a connection that's coming from outside the target machine. So a way to kind of circumvent this and a methodology that is not only used in ethical hacking and penetration testing, but is also used in remote administration. It's used to exploit vulnerabilities in a system. It's used to troubleshoot, and it can be used for, managing devices across firewalls and other network applications. Is something called a reverse shell. And how that basically works is it works off of this the concept of a reverse connection, meaning the target machine is initiating an outbound connection to the host. And basically, since it is coming from the target, it is more allowable for, sorry, it is easier because there are no firewalls and other barriers in place. And usually, it is trying to talk to a external server that is set up by the host or the target or the attacker. And servers have static IP addresses, and static IP addresses don't change. So usually, what ends up happening is attackers will send they'll send like a Python file through phishing attempt or however to the victim's computer with code on it that is specifically trying to connect to the IP address of this server, which does not change. And as soon as it's clicked and it runs, then an outbound connection is established, and the hacker already has connection to this server, and they can take control of this machine. So I've built a two versions of my reverse shell tool, and let's kind of get into that. So this is the client file, and now this tool consists of two files. So it consists of a client.py and a server.py. Client.py having all the code needed to be executed on the target machine, whereas server.py has all the code needed that will execute on the server or basically on the host's end. And just a quick run through of this code. So this mainly works through sockets. So for any two machines to talk, there needs to be a socket, and uh, both these are using Python's socket libraries and system libraries to basically create a socket. Um, and I have try catch loops just to handle any errors and exceptions after a socket is created. It needs to be bind. It needs to bind, and a connection needs to be accepted. And so each of those has functions for that as well. And accepted connections usually output a connection object and an address that has, the IP address and the port number of where that connection is taking place. Just have some print statements to let me know what's going on. And yeah, I just run all those in main and then just execute main. In the client side, it's a bit simpler. So the same libraries are being used. So the OS and subprocess libraries to kind of because this file will be on the client's computer, and this file will actually be the one executing commands. Therefore, these two libraries are pretty important. So this IP address is of a server that I set up. The server that I set up is on a website called DigitalOcean. And this is the server that I'll be using kind of to simulate this connection. And this server has this static IP address, and that is the static IP address that I have put into the host variable here. Just choose a port that is probably like not used often, and connecting, receiving in bytes and that's the basically the buffer size. Um, Encoding it, sorry, decoding it, and basically what I'm doing here is checking the length of the data in the command prompt to check to see what command is there and basically to see what commands are being sent to execute them. So yeah, let's kind of get into a demo over here. So first, what I'll do is I'll open my SSH um, my SSH tool putty, and we're gonna put in the IP address of the server. Oh, I'm gonna put that in right here. And I already have a save session for my project, so I'm just gonna load that up, and we're gonna open that up. So I'm just gonna log in as root. It's going to authenticate the RSA key I set up previously. And yeah, here we are. We're in my server. So this is on my server. This is not on my local machine. So if we look, I uploaded my server.py file previously to the server, and we can just take a look at what's in there just to confirm. This is the exact same server code that I just showed on PyCharm. So I'm just going to clear that. And what we'll do now is we'll run our server. So we'll compile it and run it. Python 3, make sure, because otherwise it can crash. It defaults to Python 2, server.py, enter. So binding the port 9999, and currently it's listening for any active connections. And right now there is no client file running, so it doesn't detect anything. What I'm trying to demonstrate here, I'll put this on this side. I'll toss this on this side. What I will just demonstrate right now is I will run this client file as this is not on the server, it's local on this machine, and this client file can be distributed basically anywhere. This can be, given to any of my friends. It can be on a different computer. It can be somewhere else in the world on another machine. Doesn't matter. Whenever this file is run, this is listening. The server is listening on that port, and it should give us a connection message that something has been detected. So if we go here, we're on our client. We have our window pop up. And if we look on the right here, it says connection has been established on port 57532. So that's good. We have a connection. Now, assuming that, I'm the attacker or I'm the administrator on this side on my server, and this is my client's machine or the target machine, any command that I run here will execute here. So let's just start small. We'll just say hello world. And, that shows up on this left side over here. Let's try something a bit cooler. So let's look at the directory and what files are present. As you can see, that shows up here on the left side as well. So it'd be pretty freaky, to run a file like that and just for somebody to talk to you that shell or for your files to be messed with like that. You can even do cool things like so currently I'm in this directory. If I make a directory, so I can call it test directory, and actually I can pull this up so you guys can see this. View one, sorry, yeah, we're in this one, and I call it test directory. There you go. We just saw directory show up right there, test directory. Just like that, we can remove it as well. Should disappear right there. Yep, it disappeared. So basically, any command that I run over here will execute on the target machine. So in terms of future plans for this project, I currently just finished implementing multi-client control for this tool. And what that basically means is like handling multiple clients, not only just one client and one connection, but juggling multiple connections. And I can't really demonstrate that to you because I don't have another laptop right now or another machine with me. However, the basic idea behind that is the client.py file stays exactly the same. However, the server.py file is modified, and I use some multi-threading to basically I have two threads that I have running, and each of those has a distinct job. And the main thing here, if we just scroll down here, so the first thread is responsible for setting up the connections, while the second thread is responsible for basically executing the commands. And I've built something called a crab shell, which is just like an intuitive shell UI that has a custom command, uh, which is crab followed by something else. So a custom command that I made is list connections, which basically lists all of the right down here, basically lists all the connections and checks which one's active. As well as their addresses and deletes any that are not. And it basically lists them in like in a list format right here, prints them out on the shell. And then basically that is only achieved by saying crab and then list. So this is a custom command. Um, Furthermore, if we go further down, I also have right here, I also have breaks set up that if, if in case any errors happen or in case on the user over here, if the host or the server quits or presses break, it doesn't quit the whole shell. It just goes back to my main crab menu, and that crab menu will show all the remaining active connections. And yeah, basically that's how you can juggle multiple connections, and you can basically go in and go out of the client machines that you want and make the changes that you want. And it all works off sockets the same way that the first version works off of. And yeah, so there's the applications for this type of project were pretty cool, so I thought I'd give it a try. And yeah, excited to try it with multiple different machines. So yeah, thank you for your time, and please check out the code. Code's linked in my GitHub. Code's linked below this video. And yeah, have a good day.